Welcome back to the Boneyard Podcast, everybody. This is your host, Jared Shepard, along with my good friend,
Artemis Brower.
We're coming to you this week with episode 208.
208, baby. 208.
Artie, how we doing, my friend?
We are doing, man. Today has been a day, but we are doing. And I'm happy that it's over. I'm happy we're once again prepping for week one. Is here. We keep saying that, but officially we will be seeing Pirate football in less than 6 days, 5 days to be exact. So I am excited. Let's get to it.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we're here.
We're here, baby.
5 days away as of recording this podcast, this iteration of the Boneyard Podcast. It usually already the time between football season ending and football season beginning, that off season period feels like it takes forever. I don't know if it's just me. I feel like we've flown through the off season.
It's a whole 6 months plus that we got to wait between the last football game to the next football game. We literally have to wait a whole half a year. Like that's what the football gods do to us. That's what that's how it shapes out. So we literally have a whole half a year where we just had to figure out something to do, have to go shopping with the missus, have to watch plain television, catch up on reality TV, stuff like that. But real football, real things that matter are back, and they're back for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it this past weekend. College football got started, and it was for week 0. You couldn't have asked for any more drama.
Nope.
So I mean, between
football said you miss us, bet.
How much? I mean, the kickoff game between Florida State, Georgia Tech was electric. Then you had SMU, Nevada going down to the wire. At one point, Delaware State, Hawaii was close. New Mexico State, Missouri State was tight. Like, all in all, a great weekend.
Yeah.
So, all right, Artie, episode 208. Do you have a number 8 for me?
I don't have an 8 that's not chalk, to be completely honest with you. I don't know of an 8, undercover 8. To me, people that wear 8 cannot be a non-Hall of Famer. So I don't know of an 8 that just isn't chalk, to be completely honest with you. I will say I could throw myself in there because that was my number, but I don't know a non-chalk 8.
I'm trying to think of one.
It's hard. I was really looking at this. I was like, yeah, I don't even see anybody worthy of mentioning, because every other 8 is like literally we're at those numbers where it's just all Hall of Fame.
Kyle freaking Busch.
That's chalk.
We need that as a clip. Kyle freaking Busch. No, that's chalk. But it's not chalk of him being number 8. If you're going to go 8 and be chalk, there's only one way to go that way in NASCAR. If I were going to go 8 and not try to be chalk, the only one I can, and it's just on the top of my head, is none other than Carolina Hurricane defenseman Brent Burns, who wears number 8 now. Typically has worn number 88 in his career, I believe, but has been wearing 8 with the Hurricanes. I see we have a comment. Yeah, and then Brandon coming in before I could take it. I was going to give you credit, Brandon. My number 8 is the 208 points that ECU scored as a total offense last year. Now, Artie, when fact checking this,
I forgot Brandon did give us this nugget in the group chat.
When I was fact checking this, and it wasn't that I didn't believe it. I trust me, I believed it, as much as painful as it was, because I experienced a lot of it. I was looking at the cumulative stats from last year. And ECU was outscored 269 to 208, outscored by 61 points. Okay. And when you look at that and you look at the games that they lost and look at it as okay, we lost 10 games last year. That's less than a touchdown per game. Granted, not all of those were less than a touchdown, but on average, you were losing by every game you lost was a one-score game.
Because we had a damn good defense last year. That's why we were only losing by that close. It's just because we had a really good defense.
No, oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, to compare it to 2022, the ECU offense scored, and I'm pulling it back up here. My computer's loading. ECU's offense scored a total of 423 points, outscoring opponents 423 to 353.
We scored 423 in 2022.
Yeah, and granted,
cut our offense in half. Literally cut it in half.
Granted, you had a fifth-year starting quarterback leading things, right, and a lot of talent around him. Not to mention an elite running back, somebody that's playing on Sundays now, right? So you think about that, and you think about okay, that's where we were, and that was still in Donnie Kirkpatrick's offense, right? And the defense took a huge jump last year, and honestly, playing one of the toughest schedules that they've had to play, and quite possibly the toughest schedule in quite some time at East Carolina.
Did a damn good job.
But last year, I mean, for you to only give up 269 points playing in that toughest schedule, that's pretty big. And I mean, just going back to the year before that, 2021, ECU scored 356 points, outscored opponents 356 to 315. Once again, another bowl season. So
I love it, though. Thank you, Brandon, for that nugget, because that's actually the only one we can use. 208 on episode 208. That's the one.
Now, Artie, when you think the start of college football season, what just comes to mind to really get things going?
Honestly, tailgating. Tailgating is one of the first things that comes to mind. Getting up and being able to get, if you're going to the game, being able to get up, get there early in the morning, tailgate, do your thing, have the breakfast, have the early game day mimosas, things like that. That's literally what I think about when I think about the first thing that comes to mind when college football starts. So,
for sure, yeah, and I just love the feeling of when college football starts. Everybody's got a clean slate. It doesn't matter what you did last year. Doesn't matter what anybody has said during the preseason. The shit somebody's talked during the off season. You start the season with a clean slate. I like that feeling, right? Like, okay, going into Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium for the first time on the year and saying, okay, today's a new day, right? It's a completely new day, and you're getting to start fresh. And this year, I think this is the ultimate starting fresh, right? Like you bring in pretty much a completely new offense, and you're able to say, okay, last year sucked. We're pretty bad. This year, we're fresh. We're reset. Time to get back on track.
Did you freeze?
No, I was waiting. We were conversing.
Oh, you're waiting on a rebuttal?
Yeah.
Look, yes, I think if we're talking about this team in particular this season, what I'm looking forward to the most is how we start, right? How are we going to start this season in particular, especially out of out of conference schedule? Are we really going to take advantage of that? Are we really going to see a team that's turned a new leaf, or is it going to be more of the same? Like, we all get excited, right? We all kind of know the turnover that we've had in the off season, but are we really going to put pen to paper with this? That's what I'm kind of looking forward to. Or are we going to get more of the same? We're very used to, at least in my opinion, where a fan base is kind of accustomed to more of the same, where a fan base gets our hopes up and then, we get what we get. I'm excited to see if we're going to get something different. Does it actually feel different? Even if it doesn't necessarily look different early on, does it at least feel different? Are we doing the right things to get into a position where it's like, okay, this is going to be a good season. It's going to lead to even better seasons going forward. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking to see how we start this season. I think after, and not looking past Norfolk State, obviously, because we got to take care of business on Saturday. But those early matchups with Liberty and App State, how do we actually start this season? Because I think that's going to be crucial to where we want to be at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think, I fully agree with that. You got to start strong, and you can't put yourself in a position where coming out of non-conference play, you're sitting at 1-3 or 2-2. I mean, if you're 2-2, it's the sky's not falling. You probably lost the games that you expected to lose, but it stings. You're hoping you can steal at least one of those games, right? And I'm not looking past Norfolk State. They had a hell of a game against Florida A&M this past weekend, and I can't believe I left them out at the top. Where, they had some miscues. They screwed up kind of a 2-point conversion that would have given them the lead, but they hung in there the whole time with Florida A&M. So it's one of those things where you've got to come in, treat this like any other game, but be ready to smack pads and bang helmets come Saturday night at 6:00, and then do it all over again next week, right on the road at Old Dominion. But Artie, let me ask you, as we get started, everybody, the thing that most people, I mean, we all love about college football is the tradition, right? What is your favorite East Carolina University tradition? Kind of, I know you said tailgates earlier, but I mean, the game day tradition as far as inside Dowdy.
I don't know. Do they still do the keys at kickoff? I don't know if that's still a thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Is it? I love the keys. I don't know why. I used to love on kickoff. Everybody take the keys out and just start jangling the keys. That was definitely one of my favorite in the stadium things that we did. Obviously, when the Pirates get a first down and you hear the Pirates first down and the Artie, that's really, really cool. That I think is unique to us. But then obviously, I mean, you got to throw in the chalk there, into the third quarter and start the fourth quarter. No quarter. Everybody brings out their no quarter flags. No other school in the country can claim that but us. And so to me, that's the coolest tradition that we have inside the stadium, just because it's ours. By ourselves, nobody else can claim it. So those would be mine.
1,000 times better than the Kinnick Wave.
One day we just gotta leave the Kinnick Wave alone, man. We just gotta.
I'm just messing.
We gotta let that rest.
Man, you took them all. No, for me, I would say one of my favorites. Love the cannon firing. I remember like the first time I heard it, scared the shit out of me. Honestly, I was like, what is that? But then you grow to love it and be excited for it after every score, after the game. Like it gets you pumped up. And then outside of that, and I don't know, to me this may sound blasphemous, but to me the no quarter has at times felt too it's felt almost too done up, right? Like, okay, we're pushing this, and yes, the fans that are still there in the third quarter are waving their flags.
It probably only feels that way because we've sucked. Like when we're really good.
ECU
At the end of the quarter, it's a really good game. It's a full stadium. No quarter is incredible.
If ECU is, let's say ECU is 7-2 and is playing a Saturday night game in Dowdy in like the second week of November. I don't know if that even adds up. If ECU is rocking and Dowdy's rocking like that, by all means. But I don't know. It's kind of sad sometimes when they play no quarter.
It is sad. You got like
play welcome to the play welcome to the jungle, and you're down 35 going into the third quarter. Like, yeah, no quarter, meaning I don't want to play the fourth quarter. No, that's.
Yes, I mean I had that visual in my head. We're in the press box and I'm seeing this sad, drawn out event happen right in front of my eyes. But it's not supposed to be that way. So.
And then I'll say one of the undercover ones, and we've been doing it for almost a decade now. Love living on a prayer before halftime.
Now, see that one is dope and it gives you goosebumps, but there's a dozen other schools that also do that. So like that's just not one we can just claim it. It's an ECU thing. It's not an ECU thing.
No, but
it's just a good college tradition.
But different. I feel like different schools do different songs. I mean, I haven't. I
think there's at least a handful of other schools that do Living on a Prayer.
But I remember that first one that I believe it was a Thursday night football game against Florida Atlantic. I think that was the game with Justin Hardy making his OBJ impression before OBJ was OBJ. If the real ones know which catch I'm talking about, it was a catch. I was sitting right there. It was ruled not a catch, but one of the best catches I've ever seen live. But Artie, it's time to really start putting all the work that we've heard about in the preseason, in the off season, all the quarterback talk, all the new offense talk. It's time to put that and see it in true game form. And we're going to see it this week when East Carolina takes on Norfolk State inside Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. And this is, like I said earlier, this is a Norfolk State team that looked really good against Florida A&M. And honestly, in my opinion, probably should have won that game. That they had some miscues down the stretch. But let's go ahead and preview ECU Norfolk State. Let's go ahead and get into it. We've got Michael Sauls joining us on the Boneyard podcast. Michael, how's it going, my friend?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely.
The pleasure's all ours. So, Michael, you're with the Virginian Pilot in Norfolk. You cover Norfolk State and Hampton University. You're from South Carolina, so you're familiar with ECU and those ECU South Carolina games from way back when. But talk to me just kind of top level. Like I feel like there's been a lot of change with this Norfolk State team coming into the year. I know new special teams coordinator, new offensive coordinator, a lot of new guys, a lot of new faces. Talk to me about the change and what they were expecting coming into the season.
Well, honestly, the change to an extent wasn't that crazy. I mean, yes, their fourth offensive coordinator in 4 years, which you can certainly argue is a massive change in itself. But from a personnel standpoint, I mean, they brought back 82, 84 guys from last year, brought back 16 starters from last year. And so head coach Dawson Odoms is kind of, constantly preached, have patience with this program. Because he when he was at Southern, he was winning. Like, he wasn't just winning at Southern. I mean, he was taking Southern to the SWAC championship game constantly. But when he got here, it just hasn't clicked really. And I think a lot of that has to do with he got to Norfolk State, I'm pretty sure it was April of 2021. So he was like without an entire recruiting class. So he was behind the 8 ball from that standpoint. He did really. He was like 6-5 in 2021. They were positioned going into conference play to kind of make a run at the MEAC, and then kind of fell apart there. But all things considered, it was a decent year one. You go 6-5, but then you don't have a recruiting class, and the wheels just kind of fall off. Not good year two. Last year 3-8. But I think, despite the fact that there's been so much turnover on the OC level, they've kind of had, I think they had 5 new assistant coaches outside of that this year. I think they're finally reaching a point where they're bringing guys back, and they have, I guess, the structure to be able to take a step in the right direction this year. And if they can keep, I think they only lost 5 guys to graduation last year. And when it comes to the transfer portal, all things considered, did not lose a lot. If they can keep that up and keep those guys in, keep whatever they got going on now going, then maybe this year, maybe a winning record is in the cards this year, and then next year after that, maybe we can talk about a sneaky MEAC contender. But obviously, it's week 1, so we could be getting way ahead of ourselves here.
And Michael, speaking on just the game that happened just a few days ago, nail biter of a game, great opener against FAMU. And they lose by a point. Talk to us about what happened down the stretch and how did that game get away? Because they really should have beat FAMU this past weekend.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised that they were in it. Honestly, because coming in that game, they weren't favored. I'd been out at practice during camp and everything, and was kind of 50-50 on what to expect from this team. You can only tell so much from practice. Mm-hmm. And going into it, they get up 14-0 on FAMU, and it looks like for a second that they might have, the 25th team in FCS on the ropes there for a second. But I think a lot of it came down to the defense showed sparks, but they weren't consistent. The run game was phenomenal throughout the game. There wasn't necessarily a passing aspect to the offense, but because when the defense was playing good, they were able to stay in it, and they didn't necessarily have to rely on Jalen Daniels' arm too much. But I think if the defense was more consistent, then they would have probably come away with a win in that game. I know some people were like, "Oh, I shouldn't have gone for 2 there at the end," and he doesn't get 2, and then they lose by 1. I absolutely would have called that. I've called that play 1,000 times on NCAA 25. Like, I understand why he did it. But I think you can't put too much stock into moral victories. But I think the way that they played against FAMU and the way that game turned out is absolutely a moral victory. And you just happen to be playing an FBS team the next week, so there's only so much you can do about it.
Yep.
Yeah. As you mentioned, it seemed like they got the running game going. Not much going on through the air. You bring in Jalen Daniels from the JUCO level. Talk to me a little bit about him. I believe he won a JUCO national championship last year, right? So talk to me a little bit about him and what to expect out of him going into this Saturday.
Yeah, I still feel like there are some unknowns surrounding Jalen Daniels. From what I saw in practice, he's got an arm on him. He can move. He's a mobile quarterback, kind of a dual threat kind of guy. But he only threw the ball 9 times in his first Division I game ever. And the numbers at the JUCO level weren't bad. But, he played in 8 games, and, I think it was 1 more interception than a touchdown, if I have the numbers right off the top of my head. But I'm interested to see if they let his arm loose a little bit more in this ECU game, because, they were so reliant on the run game against FAMU. But I think a lot of that, part of it was, sure, that's a little bit of their identity. Coach Odoms can sit there and say, "Oh, we're not a run first team, we're not a pass first team." But they had a game last year where they ran the ball, I think it was almost 50 times. So that wasn't necessarily a big surprise to me. But I think there's still question marks surrounding how the passing game will turn out in an actual game. I've seen him throw the ball in practice. He's got an arm, but I think that's my only question mark with him is, okay, like we've seen the decision making in practice, but he still only has 1 Division I game under his belt, and in that 1 game, he threw the ball 9 times. I would like to see a little bit more than 9 passing attempts, but that's why I'm a writer and not a college football coach.
Yeah, out of the 9 times he threw it, he completed 7 of those passes, and 442 yards. So averaging about 20 yards per pass. How much of that? And sorry, I didn't watch the entire game. I watched the last bit of it. How much of that was going downfield and maybe not short passes, but mid to deep passes?
I remember two vividly that were like deep balls. And then there were a couple like I think there was like a couple bubble screens or like a kind of hitting a guy over a middle that turned into a long play. But there were two deep balls that stuck out to me. The second was the one that got them down to the 3-yard line to set up the touchdown that eventually would give way to the 2-point conversion that wasn't successful. That one was a little bit underthrown, and I believe it was Cameron Thomas who made the catch, made a phenomenal catch. I think both deep balls were to Cameron Thomas, and Cameron Thomas made a phenomenal catch both times. So he did get a little bit from the help from the wide receiver on that second one. But I think of those 9 throws, it was just the sample size was so small. Like I just wanted to see a bigger sample size on an actual game stage. But in what we did see, he did show that he could connect deep downfield, like I saw in practice and everything. So I'm interested to see what a larger sample size looks with him. 7 for 9 is great. But again, just like 3 for 4 going into halftime. So I feel like the sample size is not big enough right now.
And, speaking on that offense, because, it kind of is running heavy. I know you guys got Kevin King back there as the running back. Would you say that he in that run game is the main identity? And is that something that ECU is going to have to, look out for going into this matchup this weekend?
Yeah, I think, and again, it was funny today in the press conference, Odom's, again, it was like, yeah, we're not a run first. We're not pass first. We're going to we're going to take what they give us. And FAMU was giving them the run game constantly. I mean, they were running the ball down FAMU's throats the entire game. Kevon King is very talented, and I think he will be like the main back. But you also have an Xavier Evans in there, and then they brought in a JUCO transfer and a transfer from Richmond, I believe, is where he's from. So the running back room is really good right now for them. I think yes, it is going to be something ECU is going to have to look out for, but at the same time, there's so much there's the skill gap is very evident in these games. I mean, you look at last year, Norfolk State went to Temple. And, it was 14-0 after the first quarter. And I was like, okay, like maybe they'll hang around. I think they lost like 49-7. So, I mean, it's one of those things where yes, technically ECU should look out for the run game. But if, this goes the way that these FBS games typically go, it won't be that big of a factor after the first quarter.
For sure. And it seems like, I know Coach Houston mentioned it in his press conference today, talking about talking about the size up front for Norfolk State. It seems like they've got a bunch of big dudes on both sides of the ball in the trenches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
I'd say that's an appropriate observation.
I mean, what is it about this team? Like, I mean, knowing that they're going to be run heavy, is that something that they're leaning on? Is their size up front?
Yeah, I think there's size, but there's also a lot of returning experience. And it kind of goes back to what I said, they're bringing back, it's like 16, 17 starters, 80 guys who have played. I went through the 2 deep last week, and I think almost every single offensive lineman had either started a game or played in a game last year in Norfolk State. So as much as it is some size, I do think experience kind of goes a long way, because they had so many young guys get kind of thrown into the fire last year. And, they went 3-8, but they went 3-8 and they were playing almost every snap of the game, these young guys. So when you have a lot of continuity and you have a lot of experience, I think that certainly helps. And I know Coach Odoms has talked a lot about how the offensive line is really improved from a communication standpoint and a consistency standpoint. So I think that's definitely something that, ECU will have to look out for. If Norfolk State gets multiple things to bounce their way along with, an absolutely perfect game, this could be something where, there is technically a chance for Norfolk State to come up with an upset in this one.
I do want to add, specifically about the MEAC, because I'm someone, I had a father that went to A&T. My brother currently goes to A&T. I'm very familiar with MEAC football. I think Central's still the kings in the MEAC right now. I'm not too sure about that. But how do you feel Norfolk State can actually compete in the conference this year? I know you said they're a few years away from legitimately competing, but how do you think they can fare this year?
I think it's going to be hard because, Central and Howard are kind of 1A, 1B, depending on who you ask and depending on what day it is. But then also outside of that, you've got, a Morgan State whose defense was phenomenal last year and was kind of ahead of schedule. And based on, observations that I've seen from people who are much more into the MEAC as a whole, not just one team, Morgan was really an offense away from being a solid contender last year, and they almost made the Celebration Bowl. And then you have SC State bringing in, Chinnis Berry, who was a D2, multi-time D2 conference champion, made it to the playoffs at Benedict in Columbia, South Carolina, and is now at SC State taking over Buddy Pugh. So I think right when Norfolk State is starting to get good, everyone else is also starting to get good. And granted, it's already hard enough when it's a 6-team conference. So it was okay. There's 2 contenders really every single year, and maybe you'll be the third. But now you've got, okay, maybe it's 4 this year, maybe it's 5. So I think last year they had, I think it was 5 single-digit losses, and I think 3 of those came in conference play. So if they can, take that experience from last year, and I know their defensive coordinator, I talked to him one time during camp, and he said, the experience goes a long way in the terms of, you don't have to teach guys as much because they've been around the program, but it also goes, hey, these guys have been here. That experience makes a difference in those 1-score games. Right. So I still think, the ceiling this year is probably the 3 spot in the MEAC, depending on how the rest of the conference shakes out. But I mean, that's an improvement from the last 2 seasons. So that people might call me a pessimist for saying that, but it's also a literal fact. It would be an improvement from the last 3 seasons.
Don't worry. I've been called the most pessimistic person in ECU media for whatever reason. I don't feel like I'm a pessimist, but I'm all right. So Norfolk State, just over 2 hours, 15 minutes around that from Greenville, from Dowdy. Should we expect a lot of Spartan fans in Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium this weekend?
Dude, I don't know. 100%, I don't know. So I this is my second season on the beat, and because I cover Norfolk State and Hampton, I don't really travel for away games because typically, like this week, Norfolk State's on the road, but Hampton is opening and they're at home. So I have not seen either of those 2 teams on the road. Now I can base it off of how, some of these games are. Like whenever Hampton has North Carolina A&T come to town, or whenever Howard and Hampton play, they both travel really well. Whenever Norfolk State and Hampton play each other, it's a 30-minute drive, but I mean, both stadiums pack up. So I'm assuming there will probably be a contingent of Norfolk State fans. I'm not expecting an entire section of the stadium full of green and gold. But I would assume some would travel, but I really could not tell you what to expect.
Well, that was going to be my next question. What was if we could take you out to Sup Dogs at
No, I've got Hampton and Morgan State at home at the exact same time. Wow. So I won't even be able to watch the Norfolk State ECU game. That'll be one I'll have to watch Sunday or catch the box score while I'm covering Hampton and Morgan State.
Now, one stat that I don't think shows up in the box score, and I saw your tweet about it. Two Norfolk State guys throwing up on the field on Saturday.
That was
not there just yet.
that was wild. We got in the weekly press conference today. We got Kevon King for availability, and I forgot I don't remember what the context of it was, but we were talking about food, and he was like, the food that we got catered was good, and then he was like, but obviously this one meal, I cannot remember what he said. I think he might have said there was some steak in it. He's like, I don't eat steak like that, yada, yada, yada. But he was like, you guys saw how it was. And I was like, they did you dirty. Not only did they mention that you threw up, but then they showed an instant replay of you throwing up on the sideline. Because Kevon King was the guy who got off the field and threw up. They had 2 players. One threw up on the field. The other threw up on the sideline. Kevon King was the guy who managed to run off the field and throw up on the sideline. The offensive lineman was the one who threw up on the 4-yard line, and they had to stop the game and clean it up. I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was just the food didn't sit right or if it was hot in Atlanta or what. But that that was one of the funnier things I've seen in my young career.
What they're not telling you is the whole team went to the varsity beforehand and got a bunch of hot dogs.
Probably.
Extra chili dogs.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you for joining us on the Boneyard podcast. Actually, I do want to ask you one more question. I feel like we didn't give any love to the defense. Real quick.
Yeah.
Quick synopsis of Norfolk State's defense. What can we expect to see when they go up against ECU's new offense?
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, when I was going through the 2 deep, the most returning starters were on defense. I mean, it all starts in that front 7 with AJ Richardson, who was a FCS freshman All-American last year. I mean, he had to play because they had nobody to play middle linebacker, and he led the team in tackles. Is a phenomenal kid, but also a phenomenal player. And you have Dalen Long at nickelback, who is, he was a guy who they had to play at linebacker because they had nobody to play. And now he's kind of been switched out to the nickel position and is already making an impact. I mean, he is such a fast guy off the edge, along with being able to play in coverage. They had 2 of the better defensive backs in all of FCS last year in Devon Allen and Teron Mallory. Mallory kind of got burnt a couple times in the FAMU game on some double moves, but he's one of those guys who, if that happens, he's next play and is still one of the better DBs in the MEAC. Devon Allen, I think, led the MEAC in pass breakups last year. But those 2 guys, there was a point last year where they were both grading as 2 of the better. I think it was in man coverage and another stat on PFF as legitimately 2 of the best corners in all of FCS. So if they're having a good game, then the secondary is doing fine. But again, I think a lot of the issues in that FAMU game was it felt like they couldn't get a lot of pressure on Daniel Richardson, and that allowed him to get in his zone. And then he went, 20 for 28 with 200 something yards and 3 touchdowns. But their D line is another unit that returned a lot of guys. So I think if they can get some pressure, then they'll be able to force a couple turnovers. But I think their defense is probably of the 2 sides of the ball. I would have the most confidence in the defense. I mean, they got up on FAMU, and at times, like I said, it looked like they had them on the ropes, and they kind of kept the offense in the game when the offense kind of flamed out there for a little bit. Yeah, I think their defense, guys to look out for, number 15, AJ Richardson at linebacker, and then 4 and 21, the DBs, Teron Mallory and Devon Allen.
Awesome. Well, Michael, we appreciate you joining us here on the Boneyard podcast. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but yeah, I mean, best of luck this season covering both teams and especially Norfolk State after this Saturday. We won't wish you luck this Saturday, but after that.
Hey, they're coming back with a nice paycheck. That's all that matters.
Hey, little fatter wallet.
Exactly. I think last year when they played Temple, it was $350K. Haven't gotten the game contract yet via a FOIA request, but I imagine it is about the same size. So yes, they might lose, but they will be coming back with their pockets paying a little bit more.
I see Josh behind the scenes shaking his head. Josh, do you know the number? I feel like it was a little 350.
I believe it's 350 for this year, and next year's buy game is another 350 for ECU.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Well, Michael, best of luck. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you again for joining us here on the Boneyard podcast. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Absolutely.
Once again, that was Michael Sauls from the Virginian Pilot, covering Norfolk State. And Artie, I mean, we're getting back in the swing of things, right? Like, I feel like it's been a long time since we've done a pregame.
Pregame interview, kind of got to the flow of it. Yeah, it feels weird, but it feels natural at the same time. It's like, okay, this is what it was like. All right, bet.
Yeah, I'm just so ready for the season to start, man. I can't wait to be on my way to Dowdy on Saturday, pulling into Greenville. I don't know. You and I ride together. It's always such a nice it's always such a nice feeling when you're like, okay, I'm here, I'm home.
Yeah. The drive there kind of sucks, right? Not because I'm with you, but because it's just a long drive. I don't want you to think it's you. It's not you.
Fuck you too, Artie.
No, Jared's the worst person to do a drive with. No, I'm kidding. But no, I'm with you. When you get into Greenville, especially when it's a beautiful day out too, like it's a beautiful fall day in Greenville, it's like, let's play some football. Let's do it.
Well, funny that you mentioned it, Artie. I was just looking at the forecast for Saturday. Earlier in the week, it said it was going to rain. Now, we all know it can rain at any time in Greenville. But right now, I mean, looking like a high of 90 degrees and pretty much sunny all day. I mean, make sure you stay hydrated. There's water and beer, so drink plenty of it.
Plenty of both, baby. Drink plenty of both.
More beer than water.
More beer than water, but drink your water.
Drink your water. Drink some Pedialyte if you have to. Hey, recover on Sunday. That's what Sundays are for.
I don't know. Now when NFL football starts back up, it's hard to recover on Sunday.
No, because the problem is when you're a Falcons fan like me, you just keep drinking and then don't feel anything.
Well, you guys might actually be all right. I think you guys might have, set yourself up for right now and the future at quarterback. So
I think we'll be okay. Now kickoff 6:00. It's supposed to be about 85 degrees.
Okay, it's gonna be hot.
Looking at this, but quickly, I mean, by end of game, we should be in the mid 70s, high 70s. So it's not gonna feel like football weather just yet, but it's gonna feel like a late August, early Saturday or early September Saturday in Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium.
Yeah.
So get lathered up, get out there, support this team. We've heard all off season, we want this team to perform. We want to support them. Now's your chance. Get out there, support this team, and let's build some momentum going in. I mean, the first 4 weeks you're traveling back and forth on the road, home again, on the road, home again. Hey, build some build some momentum. I mean, you got to go right back up to Norfolk next week at Old Dominion.
Pretty much. But
then you're back home and against App State, and then once again going back to Virginia, other side of the state, going to Lynchburg. So, really excited for this season to get started, Artie. Just want to, I'm just ready. I'm ready for the season to get started. Any final thoughts before we move along and finish the episode? But any final thoughts on what you're thinking for this season? And Josh, if you have any, feel free to hop in and share them.
Well, I mean, look, if you want to be realistic, just this season, if we're giving a synopsis of how I want to feel about this season in general, we went 2-10 last year, so obviously you had to be better than 2-10. That's just bare minimum. Obviously, got to be better than that. But the schedule shapes up nicely. Obviously, we know that. Put yourself in a position to get 7 to 8 wins. That's really what I want to see. Really 8 wins. I'm not even going to say 7 wins. Put yourself in a position to get 8 wins.
Seven wins is the minimum.
This schedule 8-4 to me is more than doable. That's actually you should probably go 8-4 or better. So set yourself up this season to get a minimum of 8 wins, or I'll say a minimum of 7 wins, but get 8 wins. And obviously the ceiling, I think, is 10 wins, in my opinion. I don't think we're going undefeated. I don't think we're going 11-1. I don't see that. I think ceiling is 10 wins. I think floor is 7. But set yourself up to get at least 8.
Now, Artie, look, and Josh, I'm gonna let you hop in just a second. Let me ask you this. I was just thinking of this hypothetical. If ECU if I were to tell you could beat App State and Liberty, but you still start 2-2 and lose to Old Dominion, would you take that, or would you rather be?
So that means we're losing to Old Dominion and Norfolk State.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
You start 3-1. Sorry, the math isn't mathing. Now you start 3-1, but you lose to Old Dominion. or you start 2-2, but you lose both the games that you're kind of expected to lose. And honestly, that don't sleep on Old Dominion. They're going to be a decent team.
Yeah, I'm taking 3-1 and losing Old Dominion if we beat Liberty and App.
Josh?
Yeah, if we can take out one of the top teams in the Sun Belt and take out one of the top teams in Conference USA, losing to Old Dominion will look more like a fluke until Old Dominion proves themselves to be, and then from there, it's clear. So
fair enough.
Sure.
I'm taking that every single day.
Yeah, facts.
I'm glad we're in agreement.
Yeah, and I think 2-2 and these 2-2 to me is like that's where bottom of the barrel. We should not be coming out this 4-game stretch anything worse than 2-2.
Josh, you had thoughts?
Yeah, just for the overall season, I think that this is the first year that I'm going to legitimately be a 1 week at a time fan. I've always been like I can't wait to see how it ends up being. Like we got to make sure we keep an eye on this team, that whatever. This season,
focus on this week's opponent. That's it.
This season, more than ever, I'm just like one at a time. Enjoy each one. When you lose, feel the pain each one, but really take it. I mean, so for me, last year, my high school finally got great at high school football again. Currently on a 17-game win streak, number 2 longest streak in the state right now. Wow. But they won the state championship last year, and every single week I was waiting for that domino to fall just because I'm so used to, the domino falling.
Right.
And I think for ECU, just keeping that 1 week at a time, be a surprise every single time, and just every single week, one at a time.
I love it.
Love it. Yeah. This year is the year that if we're doing that, this is the year that I'm not letting myself get like I'm optimistic. I'm not letting myself get too optimistic on it. Like I fully believe that ECU should be 8-4 this year, and should be one of the best turnaround seasons we've seen. I won't say ever, but it's going to be a turnaround season, and ECU is going to make noise. And I'm not saying they'll compete for a conference championship, but they're going to put themselves in a position to compete down the stretch over the next 3-4 years for a conference championship. And I full-heartedly believe that. I think going to your point, Artie, I think anything less than 7 wins and heads are rolling. I think 7 wins is the bare minimum for this team.
Yeah, I think that's the floor.
Like anything less than 7, I'm sorry, Mike. We love you. You're a friend of the podcast. Something's got to change. Especially with the talent that you brought in. I mean, yeah, Jake Garcia it's been a long time since he's played in live game action, and he's 2 years removed from his injury, but he was one of the highest rated recruits in college football, his recruiting season, right? I guess that was 2020, 2019. You gotta have that. You gotta have him be able to succeed, and you've got to give the reins to JDB, and you've got to be able to score points. And I think ECU will do that, and I think we'll see that this weekend. I think early on it's not going to be okay. Let's settle in and settle into this fight with Norfolk State. I think JDB, ECU come out swinging and want to kind of put on a show to build that momentum going into the next three week stretch. Which, kind of like Josh said, you can only look at it 1 week at a time. Look at who's across the field from you. But I think that's what ECU wants to do is, hey, we're all new here. A lot of new faces at ECU. Now let's show them what we've been building this all season.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say, and just about this game in particular this week, right? Because it is FCS against FBS, right? And typically we know how these games are supposed to go. And if it goes the way it's supposed to go, what I want to see is us dominating the line of scrimmage, right? I want to see our O-line imposing their will. I want to see our D-line imposing their will. I want to see us dominating the line of scrimmage early and often. I want us getting what we want. I want us getting the matchups that we like to get. And I do want to see an ECU team that looks coherent and fluid, albeit against an FCS team. I do need to see that. If we see some sputteringness, even though it's week 1, first game, if we see a team that comes out and it's still a really close ball game going to deep in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, yes, I'm going to have some reservations a little bit. So what I want to see first and foremost is dominate the line of scrimmage, because that's absolutely what we should do. I know Norfolk State has some big guys on their end. And then I'm just excited to see what we have matchup wise on this offense. What is JDB going to throw out there? What are we comfortable with? What, right off the bat, what do we still need to work on a little bit? I'm excited to see that, but I think we dominate the line of scrimmage. I think we kind of impose our will early and often. And like Josh said, we're just going to take it 1 week at a time. So,
yeah, I think the biggest thing this year is, and we've seen it in the past, ECU plays up to their opponent's skill level, but they also play down to their opponent's skill level. You need to play the same skill level each and every week. Treat every single game as if it's a conference championship or bowl game or what have you, right? Don't get too amped up. Don't get too down. Just keep it level headed, and I think ECU can do that this year.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Wanted to kind of, as we're talking preseason, some ECU athletes earning preseason honors from East Carolina. Well, let's go through this list.
Let's do it.
Andrew Conrad, listed as second team All-American, All-AAC, I should say, from Athlon Sports, second team All-AAC in Phil Still magazine. Man, we got to get Phil Still back on. I feel like we haven't had him on in a while.
Yeah.
Mike Edwards, the third, second team All-AAC from Phil Still magazine, fourth team All-AAC in Athlon Sports. Dustin Hall, the offensive line transfer from guess what, 2 years ago. Third team All-AAC. Rajay Harris, first team All-AAC from Phil Still. Phil's
he's high on Raj, man. He's high.
And the running back position in the American, it's not as deep as it has been. You got what is it? Is it Mekhi Hughes down at Tulane?
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's anybody's race, in my opinion. Going into the season, of course, somebody's going to pop off. But Rajay is first team All AAC, second team All AAC in Athlon Sports, and then the National Football Foundation University Scholar Athlete. Deontay Johnson, another first team All AAC. Now that we're looking at some of the D line.
Yeah.
First team All AAC from Phil Still, high up on the Pirates defense. Casey Kelly, transfer from Oregon, fourth team All AAC. I think,
and that's room to rise.
I think that Casey Kelly, I mean, he's played for JDB before. That's part of the reason they brought him in. And I think he's got some familiarity with this offense that he's going to want to run. Be on the lookout for them to go to him early and often. That's kind of a safety valve in this offense. Friend of the podcast, Luke Larson from down under.
Luke.
Named to the fourth team All Geriatric League. I'm kidding.
That's team. That grandpappy Luke right there.
4-team All AAC from Phil Still magazine. This is one that I think could be. I think Elijah Morris is going to show out this year.
Yeah, I can see that.
That defensive line is stout. He's a key piece of it. To rank him as 4-team All AAC is, to me, it's I don't know. I don't see that as a 4-team All AAC athlete.
Room for improvement. Take it as disrespect and crush the odds.
Also named to the Werfel Trophy nominee. I feel like everybody gets nominated for a trophy preseason.
You think so?
Yeah, everybody gets nominated for something preseason. And there's trophies I've never even heard about that guys are getting nominated for.
Yeah,
also,
like the Werfel Trophy. I'd never heard of that. So,
what? Josh, you're a member of the Football Writers Association. Is that part of what y'all are voting on, or no?
I don't remember seeing that email come through. I know we got Nagurski because I got that email recently. So,
see, and that's the problem with all these awards is they expect me to remember what the name is. like okay, Heisman, that's one thing, but like the Nagurski Award, what is?
Oh yeah, outside of like your like top 10, I guess big name awards, you're not really gonna remember the other ones.
So the Bronco Nagurski.
I was gonna say Bronco Nagurski. I knew that.
The defensive player of the year for us.
Okay,
gotcha.
And then you got the Outland Trophy, which is our offensive line. Eddie Robinson, Coach of the Year.
The Ray guy for punter.
That's not us. I don't know who that is.
Oh, you're just reading.
I don't think we vote on those. Yeah. But yeah.
I'm just looking at. I mean, there's so many trophies. So many trophies.
We know the ones at the top, though.
Yeah, the ones at the top. But yeah, like you still got like the Davey O'Brien Award, Doak Walker Award,
right? Blitnikoff.
The Blitnikoff. I mean, which I stopped believing in after Zay Jones got snubbed a couple years ago.
He did get snubbed. That was absolutely a snub.
All right. Going back to it. Parker Moore, another friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
The Parker Moore challenge. Artie, maybe we go do that on Saturday before the game.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll watch you do it. I'm going to get a regular combo at Sub Dogs. I'm not doing the Parker Moore challenge. Absolutely not.
We'll be like the Norfolk State players that are thrown up on the field. We'll just be doing it in the elevator up to the press box. No. Second team All AAC from Phil Still. 4-team All AAC Athlon Sports. All right. Chavon Revel, however we're pronouncing his name now. We need to get clarification on this. 4-team All American Phil Still. First team All AAC Athlon Sports. First team All AAC Phil Still. First team All AAC Sports Info Solutions. The Bronco Nagurski Trophy Watch List. Paycom Jim Thorpe Award Watch List. East West Shrine Bowl Watch List. And the Reese's Senior Bowl Watch List. That's big.
That's big time. Big time.
All right, Chase Solo, third team All AAC. I feel like that's light. 13 All AAC from Athlon Sports and Phil Still. And then you got Chad Stevens. I mean, leader on this defensive line. first team All AAC, first team All AAC for both Athlon Sports and Phil Still, and then Winston Wright Jr. He's
West Shrine Bowl.
Yeah, he's on the watch list for the East West Shrine Bowl. Lots of good. I think there's going to be some names that show up on these lists at the end of the season that aren't currently here. I think this offense is going to do wonders for a lot of these guys making these lists.
I do too. Yeah, I think some of these guys are going to see this as disrespect, and they're going to quietly work their way up the top of the ranks. So, but ECU players are notorious for getting snubbed. So, I mean, we're going to have some snubs. It's going to happen. There's going to be some snubs. So,
I'm trying to.
Has a phenomenal year, and he's going to be like third or fourth team All AAC when he should have been a clear.
They don't watch the Pirates, man. They don't watch the Pirates.
Yeah, we're going to have some snubs. Just be mindful of it.
But Artie, I think this is the year. We've done it in the past. The Boneyard podcast, Bad to the Bone Player of the Week. I think we bring it back.
Absolutely, should bring it back. Should have never left.
We're gonna bring it back. And how about this? We'll put it to a poll on Twitter after each game.
I like that. Who should be the Boneyard podcast Bad to the Bone Player of the Week? I like that.
You like that? We'll maybe pick 2 guys from offense, 2 guys from defense. If there are that many guys that we can nominate.
Sometimes clear and obvious.
So sometimes, yeah, but you gotta put some guys out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the winner of this award will be fully at the discretion of Artie, Josh, and myself. But we'll still have a vote.
We'll still poll it. We still want to hear your opinion.
All right. Let's start wrapping this thing up with a gambling corner. How's that?
Let's do it.
All right. Gambling corner. Starting off, we got a big slate. I mean, a lot of FBS, FCS games this weekend, of course, week 1. We'll start off Western Carolina at NC State. NC State's number 24 in the country. State's a 33.5 point favorite, over under 60.5. I'm taking the over, and I'm gonna take NC State to cover. Honestly, it might be a smart choice to take the under. I think NC State's gonna have a decent offense. It'll be interesting to see what Grayson McCall does at NC State.
Former Chanticleer, now at the helm in Raleigh. I'm going to take the under as well. Man, that NC State covering 30.5. I mean, that's still a lot. But you know what? I think I'm going to agree. I think Western's not that good, and I do think NC State is that much better than Western Carolina. It's not that I think they're world beaters, but I do think they are just that much better than Western Carolina. So, yeah, give me NC State, give me the under, and give me State to cover.
Josh, what say you? Did we lose Josh?
Sorry, I'm here. I say Western Carolina covers, but it's an over. It's an over.
Okay.
They don't cover by much, but over and a cover.
Okay.
That's probably the smart choice.
That is a smart choice. Yeah. That's the safe.
Just because what we saw
is a lot.
Just because what we saw this past weekend, where you have massive spreads and even FCS teams trying to cover that. Yeah, that's probably the smarter choice. The more I think about it, I want to say Western Carolina covers. I still don't know about the over under.
We'll see with State.
I'll switch to Western, but I'm still going to say the under.
So you said who? You said State to cover?
I'm saying Western Carolina covers
and the over
and the under.
Oh, the under. And Artie, what did you have again? I'm tracking.
I had State's going to cover,
Mm-hmm.
and the under. It'll be just like below the under.
Okay, got it.
Right at the threshold.
I think this is a game that ends up being like,
it's like a 45-10 game in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm thinking even like a 42-17 game, something like that.
That's where I'm at.
Western Carolina.
But State's going to win this game. That I do know. NC State's going to win the game.
True.
Yeah, I think I'll be sweating out the over-under, but yeah, 33.5 is, and I'll say this later when we talk about ECU, 33.5 is that's a tough spread.
That's a lot. Yeah, 33.5 is a lot.
All right.
Go ahead, Josh.
Y'all ready for the next one?
Yeah.
So,
All right, we got NC State at Wake Forest. The
A&T.
My bad, A&T, sorry. North Carolina A&T State University at Wake Forest. The spread is 34.5 to Wake Forest in their favor, and the over-under is 50.5. Artie, where are you going with this one? Do you think Wake Forest even wins this one?
I mean, the Wake Forest 34.5. Who's making these numbers? Like, who's making these lines?
This might be the lock of the week.
This is not going to happen. Wake Forest is not beating A&T by 34.5. Now, A&T is not good by any stretch of the imagination. This is a team that was HBCU national champions just a few years ago, but they're not that good right now. But they're still not going to lose to Wake by that much. I actually think this game's a lot closer than people may think. Wake's also not going to be that good, right? It's not like Wake's going to come out here and win by 50. So, what was the over under?
50.
50.5.
I don't think it's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I don't know why. I just don't think it's going to be a lot of points scored. Give me the under. A&T to cover. Wake wins narrowly.
So it's going to be 17-14.
This is not going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I really don't. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I want to say A&T covers, but I'm going to take the over. That's not many points in a college football game, especially a week one college football game. A&T, it shouldn't be too hard to cover basically 5 touchdowns. As long as you don't lose by 5 touchdowns, you're covering. And then even if you lose by 4 touchdowns, that's 28. I still think that you're probably going to like, I don't know, a 28-17 game. So I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take A&T to cover.
I do think the defense is going to be bad. I did not take into account how bad I think both defenses are going to be. So I will take the over, A&T to cover, and obviously Wake wins.
I don't think that math that I just did works out, but it's still true. 30, it's going to be 34-17, something like that, and I think A&T covers. A&T, look, these are two teams that, kind of like what you were saying, Josh, we're both at the very top of. I mean, Wake is what, 2 years removed from being a very good
team, number 2 in the country.
Yeah,
and A&T just won a national championship just a few years ago.
These are two teams that have fallen hard. This is going to be a sickos committee watch list game this weekend. Book it.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same feeling. I think A&T is going to cover. It's going to hit the over just because of college football. I mean, I think even as bad as the defenses are, I think one offensive side is going to make a bad enough play that the defense gets the ball and scores. I think it's just going to be that's. I think it's just going to play that way. So yeah, that's why I'm going the over on that one.
If we were not in Greenville this weekend, I would definitely be at that A&T Wake game. Absolutely, I would go to
sure.
That.
Yeah, I mean that's 5 minutes from our.
Yeah, I would definitely get to that one.
I've only been to one Wake Forest football game. That was back in 2004.
Sound like a diehard fan, honestly.
Yeah.
I got in trouble with some of Artie's friends who I guess he works with or his fiance works with for saying that Wake doesn't have fans.
Yeah.
And like I went, like me and this guy went, like we didn't agree on it. He was like, "Oh, we have fans. You do not have fans. Nobody in Winston-Salem cares about Wake Forest. I guarantee it." I'm sorry. I've lived here all my life. Nobody cares.
They were ranked number 2 in the country and still couldn't sell out their stadium. Like that's just absurd.
And their stadium's smaller than Dowdy. Could you imagine if ECU was number 2 in the country?
Dude, the parking lot would be
It'd be ridiculous. You'd have 50,000 in the parking lot.
With all the TVs that we already have that people set up. I mean, it would. Dude, to be honest with you, I would set up my tailgate and give away all of my tickets and like sell my tickets just to make that profit. Just to make that profit. I'll watch it on the TV in the tailgate lot.
I mean, it's not that hard to sneak into Dowdy Ficklen Stadium. Like you could probably just sneak in with the masses of crowds going in, which we do not condone. Do not sneak in. But
I will not tell you a gate number. We all have a friend, right?
I got one.
All right, guys. Next up, we got UNC traveling up to Minnesota. Week 1 road game. Power 4. Minnesota is a 1.5 point dog at home. And the over-under is 50.5. What are you taking, Jared?
yeah, I mean, I have Minnesota winning outright, and that's not just because I hate Carolina. I think this is going to be. I think Minnesota just wins this game. I don't know. I have that feeling now. Now that I have that feeling, UNC is going to come out and blast them. Also, I feel like it's so hard to take the under on 50.5, just like I was saying about anti-Wake Forest. I think Minnesota wins by 3 at least. I mean, I think they win by 3 by a touchdown. It's a 1-score game, but yeah, I have Minnesota winning outright.
I do want to remind you, Max Johnson is the quarterback for UNC. Like Texas A&M standout.
Yeah, I just feel like once again, I'd have to go back. These two teams played each other last year to kick off the season in Chapel Hill, I believe. To me, this is like the first time in a long time there hasn't been hype around Carolina. And usually they are one of those programs that is way too overhyped. Which maybe I should go the other way, but I'm still going to stay with Minnesota. I think that this is a game that they should win.
Yeah, this is a toss-up. This is a pick'em game, if you're being honest. Because I think this is one of those non-ranked games this weekend. It might be one of the better games of the weekend between Carolina and Minnesota. Both of these programs, in my opinion, should have like already taken that next step forward as far as like competing for conference championships in their conference and just haven't done it yet. I think Minnesota wins this game. Give me the over. I think there's going to be some points scored up there, and I take Minnesota simply because they're home. If it was in Chapel Hill, I'd probably take Carolina, but I'm taking Minnesota simply because it's in Minneapolis.
I agree. I'm going to take Minnesota to win.
Josh out here trying to talk me out of Minnesota.
But actually, no. I'm going UNC. I'm going UNC to win, but I'm taking the under. I'm 50.5 in this game. I'm actually taking the under.
Okay. So you believe in Minnesota's defense like that?
I believe in the fact that while UNC has a good quarterback and they have arguably, if you ask me, the best running back in the country in Amarion Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
So hurt that he didn't come to ECU, but I get it.
Give him a year, he'll transfer.
No, not after, he's going to the NFL after this
I'm
one.
about to say, not if he's as good as they say.
But I just think that there's going to be enough stops. There's going to be enough stops.
Okay.
So you're going Carolina.
Yeah, I'm going like it's gonna be like a 20 to 24 game kind of thing. Like, you know, you got still gonna get some offense, but it's gonna be a lot of running the ball, a lot of ground and pound from both teams.
Okay.
Clock's gonna run. So
Row the boat. Row the boat and then burn the damn thing.
I like it.
all right, already still in the backyard. We got Elon at Duke. Duke is a 23.5 point favorite with their new head coach Manny Diaz at the helm. And
Manny
the
Diaz
over under for this game is 49.5.
Pepperidge Farms remembers when Manny Diaz was supposed to be the head coach at Temple. that lasted. I mean, that lasted longer than a Luke Larson punt.
Artie, I mean, 49.5.
Yeah.
What's your take on this one?
God, I don't know shit about either one of these programs. I know that Elon is like sneaky good at their level, right? I know at their level. I kind of pay attention a little bit to Elon football just because they're just right here. I mean, you just can't help yourself. So I know they're sneaky good at their level. Duke's not going to be as bad as people think they are. Now, they're not going to be good, but I just don't think they're going to be as bad as people think. They're still going to be competitive. I think Duke covers. What is that, 23.5?
Yes, 23.5.
Duke covers. Give me the under in this game. I don't know why. I feel like saying the under. Even though I think Duke covers, give me the under.
All right. Jared?
Yeah, I think Duke covers. Yeah, I'll probably also take the under here. I don't know enough about these teams that I wouldn't follow this bet, but knowing that Duke is, I mean, I feel like they didn't lose a terrible amount, but they did. I mean, they lost their head coach. I feel like, did he take their quarterback with him last year?
Riley Leonard?
Yeah.
Yeah, Riley Leonard is at Notre Dame now.
Notre Dame.
Riley Leonard did the Sam Hartman.
In Texas
Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
He did the Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
We'll see how it pans out.
Go from a faith-based private school in North Carolina to Notre Dame to another faith-based private school up in South Bend, Indiana. See how that works out for you. Yeah, no, I don't know enough about Elon. That's the tough part about week one.
Yeah.
And some of these picks. Like it's so hard. It's so hard to know everything about every FCS team.
So,
yeah, I feel like Elon's bringing back a decent amount from last year. I mean, they had a decent season. You know, they had a decent season. Wasn't the best, but they beat Campbell. They did get beat by Gardner-Webb. I don't think they really put up too much of a fight here. So I got to go Duke to cover. And I'm actually going to go over. Just because 49.5. With Duke, with the new quarterback, new everything going on, I think they just kind of light it up just to see what they can do.
Okay.
Think of ECU's first game with Scotty Moe against Western Carolina, 56 points on offense. I mean, we never. I mean, we saw that like 3 more times. So
all against UConn.
Yeah. Each time.
Yeah.
All right. East Tennessee State crosses the state line to visit former rival App State. Jared, we've got the spread at 33.5 in App State's favor, and the over-under is 55.5. What are you doing?
This App State offense is going to be really good.
They are.
Joey Aguilar, I mean, I felt like he kind of broke out in that game against ECU last year. kind of his like first step on the scene, and then never really like looked back from there. You said it's 33.5.
Yep. 55.5 is the over-under.
Yeah, I'm gonna say App State covers, and I'm gonna take the over. I think App State's offense is just that good.
Okay. I'll take the over. I don't think App State covers, even though I could see it, but I don't. I just, East Tennessee State really close to App, former rival. I don't think they go up there and get blown out by that much. I think they lose by a lot, but not by that much. So give me East Tennessee State to cover. Give me the over. Then obviously App to win.
Yeah, I'm going to go App to win outright. I'm going to go East Tennessee State to cover just because I think, in my mind, this is one of those games where you're up a lot at halftime. Your defense is solid.
That's the
to the
only
core.
thing.
A little bit. They score
You
some
know,
touchdowns.
right.
Yeah.
Right. You just let it go in the fourth quarter, but I mean, East Tennessee State might score a couple in garbage time and close that gap. And I'm going to go the over for that scenario because I think App State scores 35, 40 easily in the first 3 quarters. So at that point, all I got to do is have 2. So yeah, going to go the over there.
Yeah, the only reservation I have, and that's the reservation I have with picking any team to win by 34 points, is this garbage time plays where you end up having a team have a backdoor cover or a busted bet. Like I don't know. I think this App State team is probably the team that scares me the most out of any of them on our schedule this year.
Yeah. All right, Artie. This next one's a layup for you. Easy money here. Old Dominion University visits South Carolina. The spread is 20.5 points in South Carolina's favor, and the over-under is 53.5. What are you doing?
Old Dominion is not going to be a slouch. I think this is a barn burner in the first half, and then it gets away from them late. Give me the over. Give me South Carolina to cover because I don't think 20.5 is like that astronomical. So yeah, give me South Carolina to cover. Give me the over.
So you're thinking like a 45 to 21 type game?
Something 42 to something along those lines. I think ODU is going to score some points. They're not just going up there and just going to put up 10 on the board. They're going to score some points. Like I said, I think it's going to be a barn burner over the first half. It's going to get away from them late.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know. I'm high on Old Dominion this year. Now, do I think that they keep it relatively close? No. I mean, I think it is during that first half, maybe into the third quarter. But I really like South Carolina. I think not that they're a sleeper team in the SEC. I do think that South Carolina is going to be a pretty good team this year. Especially with Sellers at quarterback, but
in the SEC this year, 7 wins. that is a deep conference.
Yeah, but it's not. It's deep, but I feel like there's a little more parity in the SEC now.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. I think both offenses can get it going. I'm gonna say Old Dominion covers just on a. I don't think it's by much. I think they lose by like 17 rather than 21.
If I had to pick a wild upset for this weekend
I don't think it's that
In the
wild
South.
either.
in the
Yeah,
South.
I don't
Right,
even
and
know
that's the
if
thing.
it's wild.
It's not wild because it's not like it's impossible. But
Boy, would I love that.
I think that this is the game that I would pick. So I'm gonna go ODU.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ODU to win.
Outright.
Obviously, the dog outright. And I think that the over does hit, but not by much. I think that Old Dominion's defense last year, what I saw at that ECU game, I mean, they were a couple of guys away. They were a couple of guys away, and I think that they if they found those guys, this is the time.
They still have that tight end that just ran all over us last year.
I hope not.
I hated seeing that guy. That guy was all over the place.
If you think ODU, which again is not out the wrong possibility, you can go up to Williams-Brice and hand them an L, we are in for a doozy week too.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude,
Yeah.
Boy, woo.
Yeah.
ODU's good. I'm not sleeping on ODU. I know they're going to be a good ball club. I know that.
If they do that, hopefully you just get a hungover ODU team.
True. All right, Jared. This next one is one of your favorite combinations: purple and gold versus the green and gold. We got JMU visiting Charlotte. Oh, my bad, not green and gold, white and gold. JMU is
Georgia Tech one of these.
Yeah, JMU is a 6.5 point favorite on the road, and the over under is 50.5. What are you doing?
JMU lost a lot, but and Charlotte brought in a lot in the transfer portal. The fact that Charlotte is having to give away tickets to get people to come to this game. I mean, JMU was a top 15 team at one point last year. Is absurd to me that you can't. It's buy one get one free in Charlotte right now. That's how little of a fan base that they have, and that's because they know they suck. So I'm going JMU, and I don't think it's even relatively close. I think JMU beats them by 17.
So over under?
You
think JMU just runs away with it like that, and it's like
I think they beat them down. I think these over unders are so tough. I'm gonna say, especially without a resume, I'm gonna say I'm gonna take the under, but JMU beats them badly. I think it takes a little bit for Charlotte to figure it out.
Okay. Artie?
Over unders at 50.5. I really, this feels like a 30-20 kind of ball game to me, right? Like it just feels like one of those ball games. Touchdowns will be scored, field goals will be scored. I think JMU wins by double digits. I got JMU probably scoring like 30, Charlotte scoring, scoring 20. I don't think it's, relatively like Jared said. I think JMU is just a better team than Charlotte. And obviously they're not going to have a lot of fans in the stadium. Yeah, give me JMU and give me the under. Barely.
I saw some Charlotte Twitter accounts trying to talk shit about Bridgeforth Stadium in Harrisonburg, where James Madison plays, and saying, oh, one side is Old Dominion, one side's like a beat down high school stadium. Charlotte, you play in a high school stadium. Shut the fuck up. Sorry.
Josh, what say you?
I say this is another one of those games where I've got to go outside the realm of possibility. I think that JMU does win the game. I will say JMU wins the game, but I think Charlotte covers.
Okay.
And I do think that the over hits. You got Max Brown coming in from Florida at quarterback. You got proven talent around him on offense. I mean, I don't know if JMU's defense is gonna have the answer early enough in the game to where they can slow it down.
Imagine the letdown that must be, going from playing in the swamp
Oh my god.
to playing in Charlotte. It's like they're a hot girl in their Tinder profile, and then you get them back to you get them out on a date, and they got a bag over their head. Sorry, I don't have a single nice thing to say about UNC Charlotte.
We know, we know.
Must be our favorite rival of yours.
No, and honestly, like I don't really like James Madison either, but I will say I did enjoy my time in Harrison. I spent quite a bit of time in Harrisonburg several years ago, and I do like Harrisonburg. It's a very
nice, quaint little city.
It reminds me a lot of Greenville, but in the mountains.
In the mountains. It's a lot more beautiful than Greenville. We got to give it a little more credit. It's a lot more beautiful than Greenville.
No, but like the way that you had your downtown area, you had like the bar scene, but then you also had like kind of your like shopping area where you have like a Target and Walmart and all that. The way it was laid out and how things were close to each other reminds me a lot of Greenville.
Yep.
That
campus is also,
and JMU's campus is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's stunning. I'll give them that.
It is up there with really all the campuses in Virginia that I've been to. JMU, I would probably rate them this way: Virginia, JMU, Virginia Tech, Liberty. Now I've only been to those four. Liberty to me was just, I don't know, it was too stale. Much like the people that go to Liberty.
But hoping to see Liberty soon. I need to see Virginia and VTech too.
Speaking of Liberty, next game we got Campbell. The Camels are making the trek to the oasis that is Liberty. Liberty is a 36.5-point favorite, and the over-under is 55.5. Who wants to take it first?
Did Liberty beat anybody last year by 30-something points? Did they have a game last year where they won by almost 40 points?
I feel like they had to have had.
I mean, they went undefeated. I know that, but did they actually beat somebody by 36 or more?
Surely they beat like a ULM or something like that by 35 points.
They beat FIU by 32.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one they had.
Yeah. They beat Buffalo by 28. I mean, honestly, like anybody that like, I don't know, you played in Conference USA and like struggled at times with schools. Like, I mean, there for a little bit, like everybody thought Sam Houston State was going to beat Liberty. Liberty ended up squeaking it out 21-16. You didn't play anybody at all. At all. The only team that you played that like now they beat Old Dominion pretty soundly. But like that's about the only game on their schedule that like really stands out to me.
Yeah, they're not going to come close to beating Campbell by 36.5. I don't think they come close to that. I do think Liberty wins. Give me the over because I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. But they don't come close to beating Campbell by 36.5.
Jared, you got the same?
Yeah, I think Campbell covers. Do they still have that quarterback that they had last year?
Ooh, that's a question.
Because I feel like there was talk about him transferring, but then he ended up not transferring. I'm looking it up. Haj Malik Williams.
Was he already at the program for a while too? Like, wasn't he like already? I thought he was like a 4-year starter or 5th year or something like that.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, I thought he was already last year.
Is he at UNLV now?
Was that the guy? Is that the guy at UNLV? Might be.
Think so. I don't know.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean that's pretty easy.
I think. Yeah, I still think Campbell. I still think Campbell is all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Liberty outright, but Liberty also covers this. I don't think that Campbell's defense is gonna be worth anything.
You think Liberty covers?
I think Liberty's offense can just outproduce a defense that is slow to react.
Yeah.
As long as their offense is as long as their bread and butter is their bread and butter, I think they're good. I mean,
you told me Liberty's about to win by 40 points. That's basically Liberty's going to win by 40.
They're about to be FCS Southeast in the easiest mode.
Which, hey, don't talk like that. FCS Southeast gave me trouble earlier.
Yes.
Like, I beat number 2 Ole Miss at a neutral site game in the Dukes Mayo Classic. Like, I dropped 70 on them. Going the next week, beat Old Dominion like 70-7. And then, yeah, like I beat FCS Southeast like 42-28. It was a tough one.
All right. And the Boneyard Podcast Game of the Week.
Yes.
Every Pirate game is the Boneyard Podcast Game of the Week.
Facts.
Norfolk State traveling down to Greenville, North Carolina. ECU, after a 2-8 season or 2-10 season, however many losses it all adds up, is a 33.5 point favorite at home with an over-under of 50.5. Artie, I'll let you go first on this one.
50.5. That's a tough over-under because I don't know how this new look offense is going to look. I just don't know. Like, we could come out here and just be world beaters in the first game, but we could also just drop 28-30, be normal, and win the game. 33.5, I think, is still a little too steep for me right now. I can't do that. Even though it's FCS, Norfolk State, I can't do it right now. I'm not putting that much faith in the ECU's offense right now. So give me Norfolk State to cover. Give me the under as well. I do think it's under 50.5. I do think it's under 50.5.
So you're thinking like a 30-14 game? Yeah,
I think it's something along those lines. 30-10. I think it's something along those lines. I mean, if y'all think it's gonna be 50-17, let me know. But I don't see it.
The only thing I'll say is, from what we've heard about this offense, I think it's gonna be tough at times for a defense that, and I don't want to say a lower caliber defense, but it's gonna be tough at times to keep up. And you're gonna be playing so many snaps and so many plays back to back, they're never going to have a chance to really catch your breath. JDB says he wants to snap the ball every 10, 15 seconds. I believe it. That's going to be how this offense goes. They're going to be longer than they have been in the past. Now, do I think that we win, but what was it, 33.5?
33.5.
Do I think we win by 34? I don't. I'm not there yet. The only way we do that is we damn near shut them out. I think if we're going to do that, it's like a 42-7 game. But I'm not fully sold on that. I'm going to have to see ECU's offense
Mm-hmm.
before I will call that.
All that. And realistically, I do think this is like a 38-10 ball game, right? Which is still us winning by a lot. But I just don't, that's still hitting.
Yeah,
points.
I mean,
38-10 is like, that's what this feels like to me.
I feel like we've talked about this quite a few times now. Like 33.5 is a lot for anybody to cover. Especially like you don't know what you're going to get week 1. You don't know like FCS team coming into an FBS stadium. Like you don't know what you're going to get there. There's a lot of unknowns. So for that reason, I'm not fully sold on ECU covering. I think ECU wins soundly. I think by the time that this gets to the fourth quarter, I mean, we're probably rolling Raheem Jeter out there and calling it a day. That's my opinion. I think fourth quarter we're sitting back and okay, let's think about going to a running clock. Josh.
Oh, over under. Did you say that?
What is it, 50.5?
50.5.
I desperately want to say the over. I'll take the over.
Taking the over.
I think that ECU scores at least. I do think ECU scores 45, but I think that kind of like what we said earlier about I can't remember who we were talking about. I think that in garbage time, Norfolk State gets a score, and it's like, okay, they cut into the lead to make it 45-17.
Okay. I'm gonna go ECU to win outright for sure. I'm gonna go the over for sure. And 33.5 points seems crazy. But could you imagine the feeling if this offense gets going? Do you know how cocky Mike Houston could be?
Oh,
do you know how wild
he could be the
stay?
cockiest son of a bitch ever.
Not against Norfolk State. We're not.
No. It doesn't matter who's burn the boats. There's no way out.
I don't want to hear no shit. Okay, have to beat Norfolk.
Here's the thing.
How many points?
We've seen Ole Miss throw up 63 before. I think this is one of those games where JBD says, "I'm the man," and Mike Houston gave me the keys.
I hope now if it does turn into that, I hope that it's one of those things that Houston, JDB and company, they're making it to where the post game handshake line is awkward as fuck.
It's right.
I want there to be if we're doing this, I want it to be so awkward. Why did you run it in with 3 seconds left to go up 60 points?
You remember UNC versus ECU when we had Ben Kurt scoring? Like I think this game is the game where it's like we're so far ahead in like the second quarter. We just swap in Caden Hauser for the second, third quarter. And then we give Raheem the whole fourth. Like I think it's one of those where we're just like, it doesn't matter. We all know this offense. It's efficient. We know how to run it, and we're gonna run it.
The greatest show on turf, brought to you by the Boneyard Podcast. Hey,
I would love to see it.
If it happens, I will feel like that. That's what you should do. You pay a school $350,000. It's all right to make it awkward. And
yeah, but you do that, you better not go into Old Dominion and score 10. right? Don't get my hopes up like that. Don't sit here and drop 70 on Norfolk State and be like, oh, we just forgot offense in a week. No, don't do that.
That's the most ECU thing to happen, though.
That's an ECU thing I've grown up with my entire life. Don't do that. Don't sit here and give me 60 against Norfolk State and then go to Old Dominion and be like, what is offense? Don't do that.
Yeah. I still think 30. I'm just being conservative. I think 33.5 is tough to cover for just about anyone, especially you're playing a team that's already played. They've already got game film that they're correcting things on, right? Mike Houston talked about it in his press conference today. I still think that's part of it, right? Like, now, granted, we have game film to watch of them, and I'm about to talk myself into taking ECU to cover. So give me about 45 seconds, and I'll get there, Josh. The strength of ECU is this run defense. If Norfolk State can't prove that they can throw the ball, then it's going to be a long day for them. And if this offense is as high-powered as we think it can be and what we've been told it can be, then, yeah, ECU by 50. Like, I firmly believe that. But if we have any breaks in pass defense, which, I mean, we've still got Revel back there, but, like, all right, I'm talking myself into it. ECU covers.
Artie, are you there yet?
No, I'm still not there yet.
The offense,
most pessimistic person in ECU media.
Yeah, whoever told me that.
I've got a 38-10 final, and I'm the one being
God, Artie. Artie, do you even bleed purple and gold, bro?
I've got us win about 4 scores, and I'm being conservative.
Artie's just a bitch. Do it, Artie.
Look, I hope I'm wrong. God Almighty, I hope we look like I am the most wrong person in the world. God, I hope that's true.
I hope that if you see Artie and I walking, I hope people come up to Artie and say, Artie, you're a fake pirate. You might as well wear
no, see, now you ask when somebody gets smacked in the face. Don't do that. You ask when somebody get hurt.
Artie's a fake ass pirate. Go ahead and put Artie over in the Norfolk State fan section.
Don't get nobody hurt, Jared.
Along with I still think Norfolk State could bring more people than Charlotte.
What? That doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even make sense.
I asked earlier, granted, Norfolk State is closer than Charlotte. But last year, I mean, I feel like there wasn't many Charlotte fans there.
There were enough to out-cheer us at the end of the game, I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, it wasn't hard to out-cheer us because there was nothing to cheer about. I was actually sitting in the stands that game, right on the 50-yard line, and I about wanted to punch everyone. It was a quiet car ride back with my wife.
That's awful. Poor Savannah.
All right. Walk the plank. Anybody got anything?
Yeah, I think I don't think we talked about this. I saw it earlier this in the off season. Walk the plank to all universities that do not have natural grass playing surfaces. I get it could be cheaper, but ECU will not play on a single grass field outside of Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium for this entire season.
I did not know that.
That's absurd.
That is absurd. And
that's a factor too. That actually is like a real
like that. I just don't like it. I think that even how many high schools have turf these days, I don't like that either. Like, turf is it's not good for the body.
Yeah.
It's not good for the body. Look out for the athletes. Provide them with a safe place to play. And you can only do that with the natural grass.
Josh, I just sent something to the group chat. I don't know if y'all saw this. I get
I
it.
did see that. Yes, I thought this was like not real. I didn't think it was an actual thing. But I guess it is.
Josh, have you not seen this?
I saw it, but I saw it in the context of Duke doing construction for their new area, and I thought this was like the construction scaffolding for something. I thought this was
this is at Carolina. I don't know if you can pull it up on
absolutely hideous
on the screen.
It's just like, what are we doing?
Carolina's testing out hospitality suites because their wine and cheese fan base can't be more bothered to go sit in a box seat, where there's a seat back. I believe they have seat backs pretty much all around the stadium, if not all around the stadium, except for in the student section. This is absolutely atrocious that they're taking up their seats to test out. And look at this. Look at the one in the back. Like, you can't see anything from the one in the back.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm sure the view from there is incredible, but it looks awful. It looks tacky. It looks cheap. It's just not a good look for Carolina. Yeah, that's just not a good one.
This is I don't know. And I feel like this is a direct like response to Duke announcing that they're having like their Devil's Porch or whatever. Which that seems really cool. I'm old enough to remember way back when they said that ECU is going to have like on-field like seating. You remember that?
Yeah. The original proposal for the tower and everything had that seating in front of the locker room or the weight room.
Yeah, in front of the Murphy Center. Yeah.
Plaza.
I remember that. Like, I feel like they were supposed to be like a sandbar or something. Like, it's supposed to be something with sand, and it's supposed to be like a beach. I remember that, but I don't know. This is just if you can't do this like a week before the season. You can't put this up a week before the season and be like, oh yeah, we're doing something new. Like, you have to just say, okay, we've had it drawn out to see what it would look like and test it out, like, and then just go for it. You have enough money. You have more money than any other public university in the state of North Carolina. Just do it. All right, that's my walk the plank.
Yep.
Enjoy your wine and cheese.
If I had to throw one out there, since you guys threw one out there, I guess I'll just throw one out there. It's a sad one. It's my moribund franchise, Chicago White Sox. They are officially in triple-digit losses. They're 31-101. They're officially the worst team in baseball. They've been officially the worst team in baseball the whole season. Might be the worst team in baseball history, which has been around for like 2,000 years. So that's my walk the plank. The Chicago White Sox.
And Alec Makarevich still couldn't get drafted by them.
Doing that little diss.
It's a tough look. All right, that's all I got. Guys, it's time for ECU football.
Let's do it. You guys got me hyped now. We better go out here and score 80. Y'all talking.
That's what we're looking forward to.
ECU versus the world, baby. I don't care if you're Norfolk State, Old Dominion, App State, Liberty, UTSA, Charlotte. I can't remember anything after that. I think that's our first 6 games. But, yeah, I don't care who you are. This is your official notice. ECU's back. ECU's back. If you've enjoyed this podcast, leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever. I don't care. Leave a 5-star review. If you don't, Artemis, what can they do?
Yeah, Blake.
Damn right. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think we're planning on getting there a little bit early, and we're going to get there early enough pretty much every home game to try to do a little bit of a man on the street. So we'll be coming around to different tailgates. At least that's the plan right now. If you want us to stop by your tailgate, shoot us a little DM on X, and we'll stop by your tailgate, maybe hang out a little bit. Before the game. I mean, that's what we do. We just kind of roam around and talk to people. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to be posting that content, I believe, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following at Boneyard Podcast, at the Boneyard Podcast on TikTok, I believe. And if you don't do that, you can walk the damn plank. Artie, I ain't got nothing else.
Hey, as always, Pirate Nation, it is here. It is time. We'll see you in Greenville this Saturday, Dowdy Ficklin Stadium. Let's get it. Wash your hands, wash your butts, as always. And we out. Deuce.
Go damn Pirates.